It is essential to your transition, to your crossing between the worlds. And it is essential that you cross between the worlds to create that bridge that others may walk behind you. You need to leave your footsteps on the bridge, because the bridge is invisible. And you need to walk it with your trust and faith, and leave your small marks on the surface of that bridge, and call to others from the other side, and show by your example that it is easily achieved, that you will not fall down the chasm of doubt and despair, that you need not die. So, my divine masters, if there are any questions that you have this evening, I will be happy to do my best to answer them.
I have one. Several channelings now, it was stated that victory is ours, that we have all but won. Does this refer to having enough star seeds for the first wave, or does it refer to the secret governments, or what was it referring to?
We are referring to the overall completion of the transition within this quadrant of the galaxy, within the Earth sphere. We are speaking of the completion of the Earth's transition from the third dimension to the fifth dimension, and to the final sorting of all beings, as you are aware, and to the ascension of all those who will ascend, and to the replacing of all those who have not yet ascended. So we are speaking on a more cosmic scale. So in effect, you could say within that scale that yes, the victory has been achieved over the dark forces, and the victory has been achieved of the ascension waves. All of the necessary ingredients and all of the powers that have been brought to bear in higher dimensions have achieved a certain critical mass which is necessary to allow this transition to occur. The transition has not, of course, occurred yet on the third dimension with completion, but as the saying goes, as above, so below. So you can see that there is a time lag between what we have already achieved on higher dimensions and what you have experienced on the third dimension. But it will not be long before the waves have completed their work. So it is rather paradoxical. In one hand, you have the appearance and the experience of having much work to do. Yes? But it is inevitably assured that your success has already been achieved. So I would say to have the attitude of one who is going through the motion of the actors on the stage, knowing that what you do still makes a great difference, knowing that the choices that you make and the areas in which you put your attention, your devotion, your service will have a great effect, and also, very importantly, a great effect upon your level of achievement and where you come out in the final sorting process. So I wish to encourage you, as others have recently, to view this not as a process which is a hopeless task, but as something which is inevitable, and enjoy the play as it unfolds. You might say that you could say that you know which team has won the game, but you do not know the final score, and you have not yet witnessed all of the play-by-play. So you are in an ideal seat. You might say you have box seats for this contest. In fact, you are all going to have a lot of turns at bat. So you do not yet know your batting average or how many home runs you will hit, but only that your team will win the game. So you still have to get up there and do your best. And doing your best for others and doing your best to assist in this transition will be doing your best for yourselves to enjoy the time that remains within the apparent illusion of darkness and separation. So it is in your best interest, if you wish to enjoy yourselves, to participate. In many ways, it is in your best interest. You might say, if this were a military campaign, the generals have decided to give out a lot of medals and commendations. So it is time to go out there and earn some of those. Perhaps you will earn a medal or a commendation which will grant you access to another universe. Will grant you access to a higher dimension. Much can be attained. Much will be attained. Again, devotion and service.
Thank you.
I have a question. Some of my friends have had some rather intense experiences recently, lasting like 5 days, maybe through 11 days, and they say it feels wonderful and they have all this energy running through them, and they think maybe it's Kundalini energy or divine energy. They aren't sure. So could you speak a little bit about what Kundalini energy, how that works in us, and once it starts running, how we can do that gracefully?
There is an alignment that will take place within all beings, especially all of you who are on the path, and to some degree it has taken place with many of you. There are other beings who have had a particular blocks in various chakras, etc., who are very divine beings, and yet have, as a result of their earth experience, been somewhat blocked or choked off at certain points, so that the life force which is theirs within their body, the life force, the divinity, has not been flowing. As this process of awakening occurs, there are within beings that have had this type of experience possibilities for what you have called Kundalini energy. This is simply unleashing a great deal of energy which has been stored. It is the life force, it is the light. So I would say, of these beings that you are speaking of, they have been very profoundly evolved beings in their past lives, and indeed before their earth incarnation, and yet in this lifetime they have given themselves to more limitation in certain ways. And now they are feeling the effects of the Ascension energies, and it has somewhat burst the dam, and it has caused a little bit of discomfort in certain ways and a great deal of growth in other ways. This is not something that will continue to occur. It is more or less something that balances for a short time and then calms or aligns and balances in a way that is more smooth and flowing. So for those beings who have, for a long time, you would say, been giving themselves to their meditations and to their growth, they have experienced a great deal of the same phenomenon, but in a more gradual way. And for those who have a sudden awakening, it can be more intense. It will not be something that harms anyone, but it will be rather challenging for these beings to function in a third-dimensional reality for that particular time when they are having these experiences, as you know. This will occur with many. I think that these beings are having this experience. In effect, they have perhaps contracted out for these experiences in this lifetime, because it will be this type of experience which is experienced more and more by those beings who have been very soundly asleep. And they need someone to relate this to. They need someone to relate to them. So I think there is an aspect of teaching that will be involved here. Their experience will be related to others who are having similar strange and challenging experiences. So it is important that these people love themselves and know that it is of a short duration, and that there is a divine interplay occurring, that what they may leave behind is not something that they will be desiring in future, and what they achieve, what comes to them out of this experience, will be far beyond what they have apparently relinquished. There is no escape from this growth path. There is no escape if you are a starseed. It will get to you one way or the other. If you are clinging to old realities and resisting, it will take a little more forceful events to open you. If you are open and surrendered and giving yourself to spiritual growth, then it will be more gradual and less intense, although I'm sure you have all had quite intense experiences from time to time.
I have a question. The name Zoltek, is that my cosmic name?
I would like very much to tell you that this was your cosmic name, but we are not at liberty to tell anyone their cosmic names. It is for you to discover this yourself. I would say for you to live with it a little bit, meditate with it a little bit. You are not alone. This one has also received a certain name. And when you receive a cosmic name, it is oftentimes rather alarming, because you do not necessarily feel a relationship to this name. In fact, it can be quite humorous if you are of a humorous nature. So don't be afraid to have your reactions to this, and simply allow. I would say what you can do is meditate upon it, and in your meditation repeat the name, or repeat it aloud or silently, and see how it feels to you. And if you feel yourself bonding with it, you may perhaps view this as a new baseball glove for yourself. You know, it takes a little while to bond with that new glove. So you simply have to work with it a little bit until you get it feeling just right, before you can stop using and playing with your old glove and pick up the new one. If it is your cosmic name, it will not leave you, and you will be given guidance on different occasions and confirmations. So that is your mission at this point.
I have a question. It feels like it's really foolish, and I hesitate to ask it. But isn't Ascended Master a being or a spirit, or is it the same thing? That just keeps coming back to my mind to ask that.
Well, that's an excellent question. Nothing foolish about that. Well, a common terminology, I would say, a spirit is one who has left the earth without their body, and who is living in a fourth dimensional realm of some sort. And an ascended being is one who has left the earth with their body, and who has not in fact died. So you might say that spirits are dead in a way, and ascended masters are alive. So those of us who are ascended masters and the Ashtar command, we are not spirits coming to speak to you. Oftentimes we have referred to your Aunt Gladys. Well, Aunt Gladys is not existing within the Ashtar command. She is on another level. She is waiting her sorting out period, you might say, in the fourth dimension. Does this answer your question?
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes.
So I would attain, if I were you folks, I would attain to becoming ascended rather than becoming a spirit. It is relatively easy to become a spirit. Just walk out in front of a Mack truck.
Well, I have heard so many people just referring to, oh, this being and that spirit, and then they'll use the same word to mean the same. And it's just come to my mind, that confusion. It didn't ring true somehow.
Yes, I would go by the emanation and the experience of the presence of that being or spirit, because certain people will call an ascended master a spirit. It is a terminology and language. We are seeking to avoid it, but within this medium it is necessary.
I have a question. On this plane, what would the cosmic name be so important now? Why would that be so important now?
What plane is it you think you are on?
Well, I'm halfway between the third and the fifth.
Yes, you are somewhere in there. And as the energies of the fifth dimension become more and more part of you, part of your higher self, your spiritual self, it will become more necessary for you to accept your Christ over self, accept your higher self as who you truly are. And it is a small part of this, or a large part of it, depending on your outlook, that this part of you, that you truly are, that you always have been, has a name, that it has a name that you have carried within you as your real name throughout many lifetimes and many other names. And as you connect with this name, it assists to bring through that higher dimensionality that you are longing to materialize. So I would not say that it is something that you should view. You are walking around on the third dimension and you will suddenly be zipped into the fifth dimension. It has an aspect of this, of course, but perhaps you could look at it as if you are existing or have been existing in the third dimension, and you are bringing through energies from the fifth dimension into your third dimensionality to lift you into the fifth dimension. And part of what you are bringing through is your true self, and your true self has somewhat of a name, or can be given a certain name that is more in alignment with the frequency of the energy that you truly are. So the energy of your soul or of your higher self has a certain frequency, it has a certain uniqueness to it. And this uniqueness is given a name. Just as my earth name was Jesus, my soul name is Sananda.
Thank you.
I will come whatever you call me. You may even say, hey you. But if you say, hey you, you better watch out, because there are a lot of yous up there. So you see, names are very valuable.
I have a historical question. Western Christianity is based on the fact that you died on the cross. But you're an ascended master, so you couldn't have died.
Well, you've got me there. Let me say that my lifetime was a little bit distinct from the ordinary ascension process, in that I was given the experience of death in order to prove a point. but it was all along intended that I would ascend. So in fact, you could say that my spirit never left my body, that my spirit remained in the vicinity, and it is very difficult to describe. I don't think there are the delineations of language that would allow me to do so. We have already given you a neat understanding of spirits versus ascended beings, and now I must contradict what I have said previously. Needless to say, I am an ascended being, and I had an experience of death briefly, but it was not long enough for me to leave the earth plane altogether and to join the spirit world. It is possible to, with proper training, learn to bring those who are supposedly dead back to life if they have not been dead too long. Perhaps you can learn this in your Ascended Master training.
Was it in that experience of death that, like you said, your spirit did not leave your body totally, or far from it, that what we know as a silver cord was not broken? You remained attached to your body?
Yes.
Ah.
I had the experience of what it feels like to die, what all humanity has experienced as death. There was a purpose in this, and there was also a purpose in conquering this. It was conquered to formulate a channel or a bridge for all of those in humanity to follow afterwards, to go from the third dimension to the higher dimensions, to attain to the ascension. So just as I paved the way, you yourselves will come after me. You will walk on that same path, and you will leave us certain markings, and you will assist others to follow you by your example.
I have a question. I work with dying patients on a cancer floor. My question is, how can I assist people to ascend rather than become a spirit as they leave the body?
At that point, I would say it's, for the most part, too late. The ascension path is something that you must engage in while you are alive, while you are a functioning being. Those beings who are on their deathbeds are not in a state of evolvement wherein they can achieve the ascension. This is generally speaking. So I would say to share love with them. If one is about to leave the earth, you can perhaps surround them with light and call upon myself and call upon the other guides to assist them in their transition, to assist them in their releasing of their limitation, to attaining to the most beneficial state that they can achieve in their leaving the earth plane. In fact, if one were to attain to the ascension, it would most likely be necessary that the cancer would be cured, or cured a great deal, eradicated, in order for the body to sustain the necessary adjustments that are required to make that ascension leap. So I would say for you to just love them, and it is beneficial always to share information about enlightenment, about the inner light, about the eternal evolvement of the soul, of the spirit. And if someone is open to the ascension, you can communicate that with them. Those beings who have made it to the point of dying of cancer have had a lot of absorption of limitation and negative emotion. It is a great deal to dig out of in a short time. just love. All are taken care of. All are taken to their right place. And if they have attained to some degree of openness and acceptance of God, acceptance of their higher self, they will be rewarded. Perhaps they will be able to achieve the ascension from the fourth dimensional state. There are those who are waiting in the fourth dimensional state for the ascension to occur also. So if they have achieved that state which you refer to as heaven in your common understanding, there is a good chance that they will be able to make the leap also. Many heavens and many hells exist in the fourth dimension. Each being creates their own heaven or their own hell for their own learning process. The learning and the growth does not cease when the body falls away. Nevertheless, the body is an excellent platform from which to make your leap. So cherish it and love it. So shall we do some meditation together this evening? I am enjoying your presence so much. Tonight I think I will be privileged to bring through some beautiful heart-opening energy. The energy that will assist you in going into a little bit deeper the state of devotion. So what I would encourage you to do is simply to sit and relax and breathe, focus on your breath, focus on the inner light if you are perceiving it within you. And enjoy. We will meditate for a few minutes together. So my beautiful ones, it is getting time for me to say good night. If you wish, you may remain in meditation a little bit longer. I will not leave you so abruptly. I would like to encourage you to devote yourselves to the experience of devotion, gently and easily, with nurturance for yourself and self-acceptance, and an increased awareness of your higher selves and who you are, and an increased openness towards your receiving more and more the aspects of your particular missions in the moments that you exist here and in the days and months ahead. Thank you so much for your kind attention this evening. You are so beautiful. I hate to say goodbye, so I will say farewell.